Alright, what's going on YouTube? You got Techno here, your coach of the Carolina Pantherians, and today I'm going to be bringing you our draft analysis for a new league. I'm in the IBL, International Battling League, Season 5, run by my good pal Dark Devil 26, aka Brendan. So, yeah, this is a league I was a part of for a little while back in the first two seasons, yeah, very excited to make my return, and it's upload required now, so there's always that, so you will be seeing uploads every week from me for this league. Anyways, also, if you can't tell, I'm feeling pretty under the weather if you can't, tell from my voice. So I apologize if this video is, unwatchable. But, anyways, let's just get right into it. So, this was a, tier points draft system. You basically had a certain amount of points you could pick. You could pick up to 8 mons, pick up to 11 mons, and a minimum of 8 mons. So that was pretty cool. You guys are going to see just how many mons I decided to pick, but I got, around the 6th pick, I think. So, I knew I'd get something pretty good, maybe not exactly the mod I wanted. If I were to pick anything, it would probably definitely just be Tapu Koko first round, but that did get sniped, so that's wildly unfortunate. Other than that, though, it seems like this will be a totally fine draft if I do get some mons that I do want to try out. So let's see what I decide to go with. My first mon I pick is going to be our Mega Mawile. Now, I've never really used Mega Mawile in Draft League format, and I thought that this time around would be a pretty fun mon to use. It's not really the thing with Mega Mawile is it's obviously super strong, it's decently bulky, got really good resistances with the Steel Fairy typing. The only issue is its speed, obviously, and I will kind of try to make sure that I can take advantage of that throughout the seasons with some of the transactions I make, as well as just some of the ways that I play this thing. But overall, this thing hits like a truck. 105 base attack with huge power. It's just ridiculous with Sword Stance, Sucker Punch, Play Rough, and then those amazing dual stabs, not to mention great coverage. This thing is just a monster, so I'm very excited to use it. I think that it will be a pretty cool mod for my team and for my playstyle, just dropping this thing in on some attacks that won't be able to affect it, because it obviously does, it is immune to Dragon and Poison, which is really cool. Having a fairy that is also really powerful is always kind of okay. At the same time, I'd like to have a bulky fairy, but if that doesn't happen, it's totally fine. So, yep, that's going to be our Mega Mawile. Hopefully, I am able to put in work with it this season. I'd like to see it in sort of a kill leader position going into the rest of the season. Now, next mod I pick is going to be our Greninja. Now, this thing was severely underpriced in my opinion. Greninja, if you guys don't know me, you know Greninja is just one of my favorite Pokemon in general. This thing did so much work for me in NPL Minors. I have it in Hive Mega Beedrill this season. Did a lot of work for me in Summer Showdown, or not Summer Showdown, March Madness last year, or this year, I guess, actually. Yeah, I just love this thing. It's a really good wall breaker, really good coverage, really good attacks that it can use. So I'm very excited to use this thing on my team. I think that overall, if there's this new hype for Greninja that's been seen nowadays that definitely wasn't seen before in Draft League. But people are just realizing this thing is just so good. It's not my Z user, which doesn't really matter. I found that actually Life Orb sets, or even spec sets, or even just mix sets are just way better. Spikes is also a really good move this thing gets. Having Spikes with Mega Mawile is really cool. Not to mention moves like U-turn, so I can get a Mega Mawile if there is something that wants to switch out on this thing. I get off a U-turn going to Mega Mawile, so suppose they bring in something like a some sort of grass typed on this thing, Mega Mawile will just destroy that, as well as my next pick. So I think that this thing is a very good mod for my team, and I'm very excited to use it once again. This thing never really lets me down, because it's just so fast, so good at what it does, and I'm very, very excited to use it again. Next one we have is going to be another mod I haven't used in forever, but I very much like it. Going to be Tornadus-T. Now, this thing actually kind of got a little bit better this generation. Not in OU, because last generation this thing was kind of just amazing in OU. But this thing now has access to not only Z moves, as I decided to make this thing my Z move user, but it also has access to defog this generation with the move tutors and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, so that's something that's also very good. Having defog just on anything that's really fast is always really nice, especially because this thing gets regenerators, so coming in on rocks isn't the biggest deal for it, as I'm just able to come in on rocks and then switch out with U-turn or anything and get all that back. Not to mention this thing has really good coverage. Hurricane, Heat Wave are two main coverage moves that it's going to run. Hurricane obviously is its stab though. Then moves like Knockoff, Focus Blast, Grass Knot, this thing just kind of gets it all, so this thing's just a really nice mon to have. It also has taunts, so you can stall break with this thing. Decently fat too. The only just mono flying type in the game, I'm pretty sure besides Silvally flying or like Arceus flying, which only one can be used. This thing and its incarnate counterpart are the only mono flying types in the game, so that the type is actually pretty nice for mons that are fighting types, mons that are ground types, obviously, even though Edgequake is kind of an issue. So yeah, either way, this thing's a very exciting mon to use, and I'm very hyped to use it once again, especially with the Z moves. It does just have a whole new dimension of play that it didn't have in ORAS. Now, the next mon I have is kind of a weird pick for me that I'm going to kind of try to capitalize on later. Then we have Dugtrio. Now, Dugtrio is a mon that I haven't really used at all. These are a bunch of mons besides Greninja that I haven't really used at all in League format that I want to try. That's kind of the idea with this draft this season. I want to have a good draft, but also one that I have fun with, and one that kind of helps me see some mons that I wouldn't have before like checked out. So I decided Dugtrio would be a nice mon for this team. Now Dugtrio, obviously its main thing is basically just trapping, and that's really good for some mons on my team like Greninja and Tornadus. Tornadus and Dugtrio are a really nice core because Dugtrio does obviously track the electric types, and then Tornadus can just run rampant on so many teams. It's just ridiculous. Obviously this thing is very frail, which is the issue, not to mention the fact that this thing is a weird stealth rocker because the fact that it just traps anything in and then you just bring it down to its sash or just do a lot of damage to it anyways, or even just kill it because this thing is very frail like I said. But overall, I think Dugtrio is a really fun mon to use. Obviously gets that Edgequake coverage. Base 100 attack this thing has now is really good. Definitely much better than base 80, which I had last generation. Kind of pushed this thing over the edge in OU, but like it's not a Z user, obviously. Also, this thing's kind of a lot more manageable in Draft League with the use of shed shells and stuff, but I do have knockoff on mons like Tornadus, also knockoff on stuff like my Mawile, so I'm not too worried about it because coming with an electric type, it's like if you knock off that thing with your Tornadus, then you're in a really good position with your Dugtrio, because you can just come in, you can either U-turn into Dugtrio immediately or go into a pivot, which I can have on my team. So yeah, overall, I think Dugtrio is a very good pick for my team, so very excited to use it. Now, next one we have is going to be our Breloom. Now, this is another one I've never used before, but I'm very excited to use it. These are a bunch of just really powerful mons. Like a Mawile and Breloom are nothing to scoff at, which with really good fast sweepers like Greninja and Tornadus, I'm very excited to use this thing, plus my Dugtrio, so if you guys can't tell, this is going to be a pretty much like a straight up hyper offensive team because that's just kind of how I felt like playing this. I wanted to use a bunch of mons I've never used before, and that's just kind of how it went. So Breloom is obviously an amazing Pokemon. Despite the fact that it does have some kind of glaring weaknesses, it is a really nice mon at what it does. Mach Punch is so good on this thing. Having that Technician Stab fighting move to just destroy priority or just be priority, I don't know what I'm saying, to have that priority with that Technician Stab is just absolutely incredible. There's so many calcs that this thing has that are just absolutely insane. Like the mons it just picks off from like decently high percentages is very nice, and it's going to be definitely utilized a lot during the season for me. Once again, I'm sorry my voice sounds so weird. Like I said, I am feeling pretty under the weather, so I apologize for that. Hopefully we'll get over it, but yeah, so that's going to be our Breloom. Very excited to use this thing. A lot of cool sets for this thing to run. This thing also gets access to Spore, which is an amazing move with mons like Mawile. So very excited to have this thing on my team. I'm really looking forward to using it. Looking forward to using every mon here pretty much. Speaking of mons looking forward to using, next mon is going to be our Entei. Now, Entel, another mon I haven't used before, but this thing is a beast. It clicks that Sacred Fire button, clicks that Extreme Speed button, and just destroys teams. Not to mention just how fat it is too. Entei is just a monster of a Pokemon. Base 100 speed, even though it basically only has base like Rotom speed because it is essentially limited to adamant sets because of the fact that it needs adamant to be E speed, but that's totally fine. There's definitely a lot of cool things you can run with this thing. Bandit's what you're going to see the most, more than likely, but obviously it is Draft League, so you can kind of just like run whatever you want. Sacred Fire is such a good move too. Getting that burn chance and allowing other mons to come in on my team really kind of like helps me out like a lot in the long run. So it's kind of like weird to see that this Entei is kind of so like lately picked in the draft because like earlier in like the old days when I saw all these mons that I'm picking, because none of these are really new mons, when I saw these mons I was picking, I kind of realized these are a lot of mons that kind of have fallen from grace, like Breloom and Entei, but I still feel like Entei is really good. I haven't seen it that much in League format, so I'm kind of excited to use it, kind of cool to see like what I can do with it. Sorry, my commentary is so weird too. Still sick, but just yeah, trying to get by. Anyways, next one we have gonna be Heliolisk. This thing, just my beast. I love Heliolisk. I love it so much. Scarf sets. This thing's speed is so good versus so many bulky waters. Breaking through bulky water is really important for Entel and Greninja, as well as even like Torn and Dougie. Mawile and Breloom and Heliolisk all do that pretty well. Except Mawile can get burned, so having those two mons to just deal with them is really nice. Heliolisk is just a beast of a Pokemon. I'm very excited to use it. Not really much else to say. They're just really good coverage, really good Volt Switch, getting momentum for my team with the U-turn and stuff. Then the last mon I have, I just needed 40 points, so I picked up another Defogger. It's going to be our Golbat. I don't know what to say about Golbat, so yeah, Golbat's just, I'm probably going to drop this thing eventually, but I don't know, I like it, like, but it doesn't really fit the team if you guys can't tell. So this is a weird draft. I only have 8 mons, but either way, I think it will be effective with how I play. I'm feeling pretty confident in this team. I'm very excited to use it. I think I'm going to make a transaction for Sticky Web some point in the season, just so I can like take advantage of Breloom and Mawile so much more and have so much more fun. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this draft analysis video. Gonna see you guys with week 1 coming up next week where we play Cress, and yeah, see you guys later.